Welcome to day 2 of our research writing unit. Today we are exploring how to develop a strong research question. Research writing always starts with a question that addresses the focus topic. At our last English class, we chose a focus topic that we would like to explore or learn more about. The reason we chose this topic was because we had a question. There was something we wanted to learn more about. Every question begins with an interrogative pronoun: who, what, where, why, or how, or an auxiliary or helping verb: do, did, is, are, can, could, will, would. All of those are possible auxiliary or helping verbs. We have been making questions and forming questions from the time we learned how to speak. Can I have a piece of candy? Why is the sun yellow? Where are we going today? Are we there yet? All of these are questions, and of course, we've been asking questions since we were very young, wanting to find answers. That is exactly why we are doing research, because we want to answer a question. Now, it's important to note that not all interrogative or question words make good research questions. In fact, most interrogative or question words make very weak research questions. So, what makes a strong research question? And what makes a weak research question? The interrogative word that you use to develop your question is what dictates the kind of question you will have, whether it will be a strong question or a weak question. So, as we explore some of these today, I want you to look at the kinds of responses that each interrogative word, when used in a question, generates. Auxiliary or helping verbs produce one word or one sentence answers. For example, do students enjoy homework? That's easy. No, they don't. The answer to a question that starts with do will always be either one word, yes or no, or a sentence. Yes, they do. No, they don't. Another example: is racial profiling still a concern today? Well, some would say that it depends on who you ask. I would say yes, it is still a concern today. Notice again, this question begins with the auxiliary verb is. And the answer to this question is just one word. Yes, it is. Or one sentence. Yes, one word. Yes, it is, one sentence. Those are weak questions. They are weak questions because you cannot write a research essay on a question that will just be answered in one sentence. Certain interrogative pronouns, and interrogative pronouns are question words that take the place of nouns, like who, what, which, or where, also produce limited responses. The responses to these interrogative words or question words are usually one sentence or one paragraph. For example, who is the most famous human rights activist in the 21st century? The answer will be one sentence. Which activities keep kids most engaged during quarantine? All right, some of you may answer this one in one sentence. Others of you may have a list of activities, and therefore you might end up with a paragraph. What can schools do to increase student participation in after school clubs? I'm sure just about all of you would respond to this sentence in maybe two sentences, to this question in maybe two sentences, or even a paragraph. Is that enough to give you a research essay? Probably not. These questions only require you to tell or list information. While the answer to some of these questions could be stretched into a paragraph, it cannot and will not be enough content for an essay. Therefore, questions that start with these pronouns who, what, which, were are also weak research questions. The interrogative pronouns why and how produce lengthier responses that can easily be developed into a multi paragraph essay in which each paragraph addresses a different aspect of the question. Let's look at some examples. Why do schools have such strict rules regarding technology? I'm sure you guys can think of some reasons, and maybe if you went online and researched, you might find some scenarios or things that have happened regarding technology that have had to force the hand of schools and school districts in terms of regulating or ensuring that they are monitoring how technology is used in schools. Another example, how might eliminating the school's technology rules affect students? So, if all technology rules and restrictions in schools were removed entirely, what impact could this have on students? Well, there's so many dimensions to this, so many different ways in which students could be affected, so many different aspects of their lives that could be affected. This could definitely generate a lengthier response. Note that why questions require you to explain and provide insights beyond what you tell. And that is why questions are usually good questions. How questions force you to delve even deeper, and they require you to examine various aspects of a topic through analysis and explanation. While both can result in an essay, how questions will result in a more and higher quality content essay. Therefore, if you are striving for a strong research question, you would begin it with the interrogative pronoun how. For a good research question, you could use the interrogative pronoun why. So let's put this into practice. We learned that there are many ways to form questions, and we have been using these ways over the years in many different modes and in many different ways. I'm getting a little garbled there. So we're going to look at some research questions, and based on how long or how lengthy the response to that question is, we will determine whether it is a weak or strong research question. So for weak, the color will be red because the answer to that question will only be a word or a sentence. For moderately weak, kind of moving closer to strong, the color will be yellow. B, meaning the answer to that question could be a paragraph. If we were really to develop it, we could get a paragraph out of it. And C, that is your strongest or best option. This is a question that has multiple aspects to it and could be developed into an essay. So good or strong would be C, an essay. So we're going to do a little interaction here. We are going to be using the chat. As we read each one, you're going to put A if you think the answer to the question would be a word or a sentence, which means it's weak. B, the answer to the question would be a paragraph, which is better than A, but it's still weak. And C, the answer to the question could be an essay, and that is what we are aiming for. So, question number 1, can music affect brain development? If you chose A, the answer would be a word or sentence. You are correct. That is a weak research question. Number 2, why do people react differently to certain types of music? If you chose C, you are correct. Because it starts with why, there can be different reasons, and each reason can be developed into a paragraph. So this can make an essay a good essay. Number 3, Why do some kids hate school? Again, if you chose the answer C, you are correct. There are various reasons that kids may be turned off by school. Various factors can contribute to that. So each one can be developed into a paragraph for an essay. So C would be the correct answer. Number 3 uses the word why, which can make a good question. Number 4, what are the psychological and social effects of COVID 19? If you chose option B, you are correct. The question is what? So it's asking you to list them. That would give you a paragraph. And question number 5, how might cell phone use impact social interactions among teens? If you chose C, you are correct, and this would be your strongest option for a research question because it not only requires you to explain, but it also requires some level of analysis. You are going to have to think beyond the research that you have found. Let's do some more practice. Which of the following questions would make the strongest research question? Is it A, can music affect brain development? B, why do people react differently to certain types of music? C, what are the psychological and social effects of COVID 19? Or D, how might cell phone use impact social interactions among teens? Which one would make the strongest research question? If you chose option D, you are correct. How questions always make the strongest research questions. Why questions are also acceptable. However, how questions will give you the most quality and the most depth. So let's review what we've learned today. Research writing always starts with a question that addresses the focus topic. The quality of your research question and the focus of your essay will depend on the strength of your question word. So choose wisely. And if you look at our scale below, you can see which question words make weak questions, which question word makes a good question, and which word makes a strong question.